I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be like, wow, all these brothers gotta wear a dress. This happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer, I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here.
Just when it seemed like the Katt Williams and Kevin Hart feud couldn't get any more intense, brand new footage surfaced showing the two stars finally coming face to face. And the last few seconds of their interaction, caught on camera, have people all over social media asking the exact same question. On May 10th, 2026, the roast of Kevin Hart streamed live from the Kia Forum in Los Angeles, with Shane Gillis leading the show as host. The event packed the venue with big names from comedy, entertainment, and sports, all showing up to celebrate Hart, with a non-stop lineup of sharp jokes and ruthless roast moments. Tom Brady made an appearance. Chelsea Handler was in the building. Lizzo showed up. Even Jeff Ross stepped out wearing a replica of Eddie Murphy's famous red leather outfit from Delirious, turning heads before he even grabbed the mic. Right from the start, the mood was clear. Tom Brady kicked things off by presenting Hart with a custom Knicks jersey, and nobody was planning to take it easy on him that night. But the one person almost nobody expected to see was Katt Williams. His appearance shocked a lot of people because of the very public tension between him and Hart back in 2024. Williams made headlines after criticizing Hart's fast rise in Hollywood and even referred to him as an industry plant during the controversy. Then came the moment that changed the energy in the room. During Netflix's roast of Kevin Hart at the Kia Forum in Inglewood, actress Regina Hall surprised the crowd by introducing Williams. Wearing a black hat and a long black leather cape-style coat, the Friday After Next star stepped onto the stage, and the second he appeared, everyone could feel the atmosphere shift instantly. The crowd knew something big was about to happen. The moment Katt Williams appeared, the entire mood of the roast seemed to change. His surprise entrance instantly grabbed everyone's attention, especially because of the history and public tension that has followed both comedians for years. Even longtime roast veteran Jeff Ross later admitted that the biggest moment of tension all night came when Williams suddenly walked out and started aiming jokes directly at Kevin Hart. Kevin looked a little more serious than before, almost like this was a reunion nobody expected to happen on such a public stage. And Williams didn't spend a second easing into it. He jumped right in and started firing off jokes. He opened by telling the audience he was shocked they invited him at all. That's how little star power you have. They had to start inviting your enemies. Then he turned toward Hart and added, "I said, I hate him." And they said, "Come anyway."
They come in, writer comes in. I think he's a writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a prostitute. And he put this dress on. And now I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with it. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it.
The crowd immediately reacted as Williams kept the pressure on with one punchline after another. Williams joked that his appearance was some of his best acting work because he was pretending Hart was a goat. He also tossed in jokes about Hollywood and conspiracy rumors before telling Hart, "You're gonna hear some things tonight that you're not familiar with. Those things are called punchlines." He even compared the event to the Riyadh Comedy Festival, calling it the version with a soul, referencing the widely discussed 2025 Saudi Arabia-sponsored comedy festival that included several major comedians, Hart among them. Then Williams shifted back to one of the most talked-about subjects from their past public disagreements. Addressing previous comments directly, he told the audience, "I tried to tell y'all that Kevin Hart was a plant because I keep burying him." He followed it up with another joke, saying Hart always manages to bounce right back, just like a plant. The crowd erupted as Williams continued stacking joke after joke, making his segment one of the night's most talked-about moments. Williams kept the jokes coming and wasn't finished yet. He told the crowd, "Yes, I said some things I'd like to take back. Some things I said were misunderstood. I did say that he was a Hollywood puppet, and I want to explain that because it might not be what you think." Then he delivered the punchline that got an immediate reaction from the audience. "I meant that the head of Netflix literally has his whole hand up Kevin's ass and can make him do anything. Up to that point, it had been a wild roast segment packed with sharp jokes and crowd reactions. But then the atmosphere changed completely. What happened next transformed the moment from a standard roast exchange into one of the most talked about scenes of the entire night. Hart had been sitting on stage throughout Williams' set, listening to every joke. After Williams wrapped up his performance, Hart walked over to him, and the audience immediately sensed something unexpected was about to happen. "Me and this man have been at odds for years on years," Hart said. "You coming out here? Quite the fucking surprise." Then Hart continued with a message that caught many people off guard. "But Katt, I can sit. I can watch you. I can laugh because I'm a fucking fan first. Katt, we have an opportunity in real time. This is live television to put our fucking beef behind us. I'm offering you an olive branch of peace. I want to be a brother. I want to be a friend. Katt, I want to move on." The entire venue seemed locked in on every word. Instead of responding with a long speech, Williams kept it simple. He accepted Hart's handshake and embraced him, allowing the gesture itself to do all the talking. No dramatic back and forth, no drawn-out explanation, just a public show of respect that appeared to signal the end of a long-running feud. The crowd erupted the second it happened. Social media quickly lit up with reactions, with many viewers calling it one of the biggest moments of the night. One fan wrote, "That's a full-on legacy moment on stage. Kevin Hart and Katt Williams turning years of tension into an on-air truce is peak live entertainment energy." Another called it the kind of unexpected moment that nobody saw coming, but everyone would be talking about afterward. The surprise reconciliation instantly became one of the biggest talking points of the night. Fans couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. One viewer wrote, "Two comedy legends finally putting the beef aside on live TV was not on my 2026 bingo card." Others were already calling it one of the most unforgettable moments in recent roast history. But the story didn't stop there. After the handshake, the hug, and the public peace offering, many people assumed the long-running feud had officially reached its final chapter. Hart had told the audience he wanted to move forward, and for a moment, it looked like the tension had completely faded away. Then Hart returned to the microphone for his closing set, and suddenly, the entire situation took another unexpected turn.
"So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're right. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress." "Oh, come on, Dave. Listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money." You know, the pressure comes in. I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then like the director comes, "Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress."
"Everybody has said tonight that I can't act," Hart joked. "What I want you to do is go back and look at that moment where I shook Katt's hand and I looked him in the eye and I said, 'I just want us to be friends.'" Some of the best F-King acting that I've ever did in my career. The crowd exploded with laughter and shock. Hart flipped the emotional moment into a punchline, using it to fire back at critics who have questioned his acting skills over the years. According to Hart, that exchange with Williams might have been the strongest performance of his career. He kept going, saying, "I did not mean one word of what I said. Fuck Katt Williams." Before anyone could decide whether he was serious or simply continuing the roast format, Hart launched into a rapid-fire series of jokes aimed directly at Williams. The audience quickly realized that the playful back and forth was far from over. Hart also referenced ongoing public discussions that had surrounded both comedians over the years. At one point he joked, "I went to one fucking party." Then he pointed out that Williams had attended the same event, turning the topic into another roast punchline. He continued by joking about several well-known stories and past controversies connected to Williams's career, while also addressing the long-running debate over movie roles. Referring to Williams's comments earlier in the evening, Hart said, "Katt said tonight that I took all his movies that he turned down. All right, let's unpack it." At that point, everyone knew Hart was ready to give his side of the story, and he wasn't holding back on the jokes. "Katt, you're telling me you turned down Jumanji. 1, 2, 3, Ride Along 1, 2, Central Intelligence, Think Like a Man, 1, 2, The Upside, About Last Night, Me Time, Borderlands, Man from Toronto, so you could do a cameo in Norbit? What the fuck are you telling me? Katt, you can't be in my movies. You think they want a pimp in Jumanji?"
Another great comedian said that, you know, in the industry, they tried to make him wear a dress. Have you ever ran into that with scripts? And is that something that, you know, you wouldn't do, you know, for
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you know, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross. You know, for me, I know what they are.
The audience completely lost it. The jokes were coming so fast that people barely had time to recover before the next punchline landed. Hart was in full performance mode, delivering one joke after another with the confidence and timing that have made him a global comedy star. Every response seemed sharper than the last. Hart took the material Williams had thrown at him earlier in the night and turned it into ammunition for his own set. By the time he reached the final stretch, it was clear he was determined to have the last word in the roast battle. What stood out wasn't just the jokes, it was how quickly Hart shifted gears when the moment called for it. After all the back and forth, all the punchlines and all the crowd reactions, he brought the focus back to the bigger picture. It was all in good fun, Hart explained as he reflected on Williams' appearance. Then he made it clear where he stood moving forward. And I meant what I said. That beef is over. It's not good for all these white people to see two black people fighting. We're too small to have the beef that we had, Hart said. He continued, "So Katt, it's over. The beef is over between me and Katt, and on a serious note, I love the fact that that man showed up tonight." That statement changed the tone once again. After spending part of his closing set roasting Williams from every angle, Hart circled back to the message he had delivered earlier. He joked, he pushed back, and he got his shots in. But he also made it clear that he appreciated Williams showing up and sharing the stage. In a night packed with surprises, that balance between rivalry and respect became one of the most memorable parts of the entire event. He walked onto the stage wearing a cape like a movie villain and left with a handshake like an old friend. That dramatic entrance and exit combination became one of the most talked about images from the entire event. Even roast legend Jeff Ross weighed in on the moment, saying, "But Kevin asked for the hatchet to be buried, and immediately the tension turned into celebration." Kevin Hart and Katt Williams turned a Netflix roast into a public reconciliation. Then came another twist. After all the emotion, the handshake, and the public display of unity, Hart later joked that the whole thing might have been acting. Whether people took that seriously or saw it as another punchline, it added yet another layer to a moment that already had everyone talking. That's exactly the kind of scene that gets replayed over and over online. One minute it's a roast, the next it's a reconciliation, and then it's a joke about the reconciliation itself. The mix of comedy, history, and surprise left viewers trying to figure out what was real and what was part of the show. But to understand why that moment carried so much weight, you have to go back more than a decade. The tension between Kevin Hart and Katt Williams didn't begin with a massive public confrontation. There wasn't one dramatic moment where everything exploded overnight. Instead, the disagreement developed gradually through comments, interviews, and public remarks that built up over time. Back in 2014, Williams began making jokes and indirect comments about comedians becoming part of Hollywood's system. Around that same period, Hart's movie career was taking off with projects such as Ride Along, About Last Night, Think Like a Man 2, and Top 5. As Hart's profile continued to grow, comparisons and conversations surrounding both comedians became harder to avoid. Later that year, Williams claimed he had helped shape Hart into the comedian he became. The comment generated plenty of discussion and reportedly didn't sit well with some people around Hart. Even so, Hart largely avoided escalating the situation publicly and chose not to engage directly at the time. That approach wouldn't last forever. By 2016, the remarks had become much more noticeable. During his conspiracy theory comedy tour in Atlanta, Williams took another public shot at Hart, referring to him as a Hollywood puppet. The comment quickly grabbed attention and added another chapter to a rivalry that would continue making headlines for years to come. Williams didn't stop there. During the discussion, he compared Hart to Kermit the Frog, telling audiences that the focus shouldn't be on the puppet, but on the hand controlling it. The comparison quickly spread and became one of the most talked about moments in the ongoing back and forth between the two comedians.
They've yet to been challenged, so, you know, I don't have to speak on them. I was asked to dribble a basketball on the talk show this morning.
You look
said
good
no to
doing
that.
it.
That's not that was addressed, but I was like, no, I'm gonna look stupid. At the end of the day, you got to know that you're a brand. I'm a brand. You need to protect your brand at all times. When things happen that can possibly affect your brand, your brand can be diminished, and you don't want that to happen. So, protecting my brand is definitely a priority.
Hart responded in a much different way. Rather than firing back directly, he posted a photo on Instagram featuring himself alongside comedy heavyweights Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock at the Academy Awards. Along with the image, Hart wrote that true professionals understand the importance of supporting one another and sticking together. No names were mentioned, but many people believed the message was aimed squarely at Williams. It was a subtle response, yet the timing made it hard for fans to miss the connection. Then, things escalated even further. In March 2016, ahead of a stop on his comedy tour in Philadelphia, Hart's hometown, Williams issued a headline-grabbing challenge. He publicly dared Hart to a multi-discipline competition and attached a staggering $5 million wager to the challenge. Williams also suggested that Hart's performances were more for entertainment than serious competition, adding even more attention to the situation. At that point, what had started as indirect comments and public jokes suddenly felt much more personal. The rivalry had moved beyond passive-aggressive remarks and into territory that had people wondering whether the feud was becoming something bigger. But then came an unexpected twist. Just days later, Williams appeared on Atlanta's V103 Big Tigger show and walked back his comments. He said he should never have brought Hart's name into the conversation and explained that some of the remarks made in Atlanta were personal thoughts that were never intended for a wider audience. For many observers, that apology seemed like it should have settled everything. In most situations, a public retraction helps cool tensions and close the chapter. But in this case, it appeared to be only a temporary pause. The underlying disagreements didn't completely disappear because the debate had grown into something larger than a few comments. It had become tied to reputation, success, and two very different paths through the comedy world. At its core, the disagreement had grown beyond simple jokes and public comments. It became a debate about opportunity, recognition, and who the entertainment industry seemed to push into the spotlight. For Williams, those frustrations appeared to remain unresolved. And before long, another controversy brought the tension back into the headlines. That controversy involved Tiffany Haddish. In September 2018, Williams appeared on V103 Frank and Wanda show and questioned whether Haddish had fully proven herself as a stand-up comedian. He argued that she had not yet demonstrated the ability to carry a full hour-long comedy performance, comments that quickly sparked reactions across the entertainment world. At the time, Hart was promoting Night School, a film that co-starred Haddish. During an appearance on Power 105.1's The Breakfast Club, Hart addressed the discussion directly. Williams had questioned Haddish's comedy credentials and suggested that other performers had been overlooked. The remarks generated widespread debate and put several comedians into the conversation. This time, Hart wasn't interested in staying quiet. When he later appeared on The Breakfast Club, Hart strongly defended Haddish and criticized what he viewed as attacks on fellow black comedians. It marked a major shift from his earlier approach of avoiding direct public confrontations. During that interview, Hart delivered comments that many people would continue referencing for years afterward. "You had the shot. You were the guy. You were set up to be the star. You did not show up to work," Hart declared. That statement landed hard. Unlike previous exchanges filled with indirect messages and subtle responses, Hart addressed Williams directly by name. There were no vague social media posts and no coded references. He openly challenged Williams' perspective and made it clear that he was tired of hearing criticism without responding. The rivalry entered a new phase after that. In the years that followed, Williams continued taking public shots at Hart, often portraying him as a puppet or an industry plant. Those labels gained attention online and became some of the most widely discussed talking points whenever the two comedians were mentioned together. What had started as scattered remarks years earlier had now evolved into one of comedy's most talked about long-running feuds. Among some audiences, a narrative began to gain traction that Kevin Hart's rise was heavily supported by Hollywood connections rather than being driven solely by his stand-up success. Whether people agreed with that view or not, the perception became a major part of the public conversation surrounding Hart and played a huge role in the feud that followed. If there was one moment that pushed the Hart-Williams rivalry from a comedy dispute into a full-scale entertainment story, it came in January 2024.
Fact about the New York Knicks, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Katt Williams bought the Knicks.
He definitely bought it.
He bought the Knicks,
Yeah.
and it's rumored that he took the Knicks back, returned them with a receipt.
You can do that. You didn't know.
Katt dropped him off.
No, what?
Cat
In a
just dropped.
spaceship.
He gave him a ride.
In a spaceship.
Okay,
In a spaceship.
copy that.
That month, Katt Williams sat down with Shannon Sharpe for an appearance on the wildly popular Club Shay Shay podcast. Over the course of a lengthy interview that stretched for nearly 3 hours, Williams discussed numerous topics across the entertainment industry, including his long-running issues with Hart. The interview exploded online almost immediately. Clips spread across social media at lightning speed, generating massive reactions within just 24 hours. Fans, critics, comedians, and media outlets all jumped into the discussion as the interview dominated entertainment headlines for days. Throughout the conversation, Williams laid out his views with the confidence of someone who had been waiting a long time to address these subjects publicly. He questioned Hart's standing within comedy and made several claims about Hart's career trajectory and success in Hollywood. Williams also argued that many of Hart's major movie opportunities had allegedly been offered elsewhere before ultimately going to Hart. According to Williams, he had personally passed on certain projects because they weren't the right fit for him. He further claimed that Hart entered Hollywood with significant opportunities already lined up, including television and film projects early in his career. Those comments reignited debates that had been simmering for years. Supporters and critics immediately began arguing over Williams' claims, while social media filled with clips, reactions, and breakdowns of the interview. The phrase "industry plant" once again became attached to discussions about Hart, and the long-running feud suddenly found itself at the center of one of the biggest entertainment conversations of 2024. Williams presented his arguments in a detailed and calculated way. Rather than making a few quick remarks, he walked through specific movie titles, timelines, and career moments, creating a narrative that challenged how people viewed Hart's rise in Hollywood. During the interview, Williams stated, "For a 5-year period, every single movie that Kevin Hart did was a film that had been on his desk." He went on to claim that he had passed on certain opportunities because he wasn't comfortable with aspects of the material being requested. The message behind his comments was hard to miss. Williams portrayed himself as someone who refused to make certain career choices, while suggesting that Hart was willing to take a different path. But Hart wasn't the only person discussed during the interview. Williams also spoke about several other well-known figures in entertainment, including Cedric the Entertainer, Ludacris, Tyler Perry, Ricky Smiley, and others. His comments touched on old industry disputes, career disagreements, and long-standing rumors that had circulated for years. One of the most talked-about moments involved Williams' claim that Cedric the Entertainer had used material similar to one of his signature jokes. He also shared stories and allegations about behind-the-scenes industry experiences, many of which immediately sparked debate across social media and entertainment news outlets. With so many headlines being generated, many people wondered how Hart would respond. Rather than jumping into a public back and forth, Hart chose a different approach. In 2024, he reacted with a lighthearted social media post while also promoting his Netflix film Lift. He wrote, "Gotta get that anger up out ya, champ. It's honestly sad." Then, almost immediately, he shifted the focus toward his upcoming movie release. That response fit a pattern many fans had come to recognize from Hart over the years. Instead of getting pulled deep into the controversy, he often preferred to brush it off publicly and keep moving forward. The internet, however, had other plans. Williams' Club Shay Shay appearance became one of the most heavily discussed celebrity interviews of the year. Clips flooded social media, reaction videos piled up by the thousands, and Hart's name remained at the center of the conversation for weeks as the feud entered yet another dramatic chapter.
Spaceship that he parallel parked.
Known fact, Katt Williams has a NBA basketball court in his living room. He's the first to ever really, he's the first to embrace a true hardwood floor.
Yeah.
He bought it in his home.
The interview didn't just make headlines, it became a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Within a short time, it had racked up tens of millions of views and dominated conversations across social media, podcasts, radio shows, and entertainment news platforms. The impact became so massive that even Saturday Night Live joined the conversation. The show poked fun at the viral moment with a comedy sketch that imagined an exaggerated 8-hour version of the interview, featuring Ego Nwodem portraying Williams. By that point, the interview had become impossible to ignore. What made the feud so fascinating to many fans was that it seemed to represent more than just a disagreement between two comedians. Over the years, people began viewing it as a clash between different ideas about success, fame, and the entertainment industry itself. Williams developed a reputation for openly challenging Hollywood and questioning how the industry operates. Hart, meanwhile, became one of the most commercially successful comedians in the world, building a career that stretched across stand-up, film, television, and business ventures. Those contrasting paths only added more intrigue whenever the two names appeared in the same headline. More than 8 months after the Club Shay Shay interview shook the entertainment world, Hart finally sat down with Charlamagne Tha God for an extended conversation and addressed being one of Williams' biggest targets during the viral discussion. During the interview, Hart acknowledged that he regretted getting drawn into some of the public exchanges. He explained that his previous comments on The Breakfast Club were largely motivated by a desire to support Tiffany Haddish at the time, rather than a strong interest in publicly confronting Williams. And that's what makes the roast reunion so interesting. After spending years exchanging criticism through interviews, social media posts, stand-up routines, and podcast appearances, the two comedians somehow ended up sharing the same stage at the Kia Forum. The biggest question afterward wasn't whether the roast was entertaining, it was whether the reconciliation was genuine. Hart joked that he didn't mean what he said, then later suggested that he absolutely did. Naturally, fans were left wondering where the truth actually stood. According to Hart, the road to that moment began long before the roast itself. During a conversation on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn with Carmelo Anthony, he revealed that the reconciliation process actually started with a phone call. Hart explained that one of the biggest changes came from cutting out the middlemen and speaking directly with Williams. According to him, getting older had helped both of them handle disagreements differently, allowing them to deal with conflict without turning every issue into a public spectacle. That detail matters more than many people realize. The breakthrough reportedly didn't come through an interview, a podcast appearance, or a social media exchange. It came through a private phone call. After years of discussing each other publicly, the two comedians finally had a direct conversation with one another instead of speaking through headlines and media clips. When you look at it from that perspective, the roast moment takes on a completely different meaning. What appeared to be a surprise reconciliation on stage may have actually been the result of conversations that had been happening behind the scenes long before the cameras started rolling. Still, not everyone was convinced the process was that simple. In a post-roast interview with Variety, Jeff Ross shared his own thoughts on the situation. "I don't believe they actually talked until he came out on television," Ross said, suggesting that regardless of any previous discussions, the face-to-face encounter at the Kia Forum felt genuine and unscripted in the moment. Ross also offered an interesting observation about Hart's approach to entertainment. Kevin is a great comic, but he's also a really smart producer. He loves to follow the discomfort. If something is making him uncomfortable, it's going to be great TV. That comment sheds light on why the moment may have worked so well. Hart has built a reputation for understanding what grabs an audience's attention. If there was tension in the room, he wasn't likely to avoid it. He was likely to lean into it. The uncertainty surrounding Williams' appearance created a level of suspense that had viewers locked in from the moment he stepped onto the stage. The platform itself appeared to understand the stakes as well. By bringing Williams into the roast as a surprise guest, Netflix turned what could have been a typical celebrity roast into a headline-making entertainment event. The unresolved history between the two comedians added a level of unpredictability that is increasingly rare in modern live television, which is exactly why the moment spread so quickly across social media and beyond. For years, the tension between Kevin Hart and Katt Williams came to represent something much bigger than a personal disagreement. To many observers, the two comedians reflected very different paths through the entertainment world. Hart became associated with major films, massive tours, and widespread commercial success, while Williams built a reputation as an outspoken voice who often challenged industry norms and questioned how opportunities were distributed. That's a big reason why their rivalry attracted so much attention. This wasn't simply a brief dispute between two entertainers. Over the years, their public clashes included sharp criticism, heated comments, disagreements about career opportunities, and debates about how success is achieved in Hollywood. As a result, the feud grew into one of the most talked-about rivalries in stand-up comedy. When Williams referred to Hart as a plant, many people saw it as more than just a criticism of one comedian. Supporters of Williams viewed it as part of a broader argument about the entertainment industry and the way major stars are created and promoted. On the other side, Hart's responses often reflected a different perspective. His comments suggested a belief that hard work, consistency, and ambition play a major role in achieving success, and that reaching the top shouldn't require an apology or explanation. What makes the story stand out is that public feuds rarely end this way. In today's entertainment landscape, disagreements often continue indefinitely because controversy generates attention, headlines, social media reactions, and endless online discussion. From a publicity standpoint, there were plenty of reasons for this rivalry to keep going for years. Instead, something unexpected happened. The handshake and embrace on stage ultimately became more memorable than any single joke exchanged during the roast. After years of public tension, the image of Hart and Williams sharing that moment gave fans something they never expected to see. Based on everything that followed the event, it appears the two comedians have reached a much better place in their relationship. Whether fans focus on the jokes, the history, or the reconciliation itself, the roast will likely be remembered as the night one of comedy's longest-running rivalries took a surprising turn. In the days following the roast, Hart appeared to show even more respect toward his former comedy rival. For many fans, the moment reinforced Hart's image as someone confident enough in his own success to finally move beyond a feud that had followed him for years. At the same time, it showed that Williams could step back into the spotlight on a major stage while still keeping the bold, unpredictable personality that made him popular in the first place. And Williams wasn't slowing down for a second. Just 2 days after the live TV reconciliation, Williams announced another stop on his tour. The veteran comedian revealed plans to perform at Treasure Island Amphitheater in Welch, Minnesota on July 18th. While the headlines were focused on the roast and the unexpected truce, Williams was already back to doing what he does best, getting ready for the next show. That's what makes this chapter so interesting. Despite years of controversy, public disagreements, and non-stop debate, both comedians continue to move forward with successful careers. Williams is still touring, still drawing crowds, and still generating attention everywhere he goes. For more than a decade, the Hart-Williams feud seemed to pop up in almost every major conversation involving either comedian. Interviews, podcasts, social media discussions, and stand-up specials all seem to circle back to the same rivalry. But now, the story may finally be different. Celebrity feuds happen all the time, yet genuine public resolutions are much harder to find. Most rivalries continue because conflict creates headlines, social media engagement, and endless online debate. The Hart-Williams feud had all the ingredients to keep going for years. Instead, both men appeared to choose another path. Whether the olive branch was completely sincere, whether Hart was mixing jokes with honesty, or whether Williams' quiet reaction during the handshake reflected acceptance, relief, or simply moving on, those lingering questions are exactly what keep people talking about this moment. The mystery surrounding it is part of what made the entire scene so unforgettable. Comedy has always existed in that strange space between what's said and what's actually meant. And on that night at the Kia Forum, with millions watching from around the world, Kevin Hart and Katt Williams delivered exactly that kind of unforgettable moment. Depending on who you ask, the handshake, the jokes, and the comments afterward can be interpreted in completely different ways. That's part of what made the whole thing so fascinating. But one thing is hard to argue with. What unfolded that night felt much bigger than a typical roast highlight. It became a major pop culture moment packed with comedy history, years of public tension, an unexpected reconciliation, and plenty of questions that people are still debating today. Whether the piece was long overdue, completely genuine, or somewhere in between, the moment instantly became one of the most talked about comedy stories of the year. Comedy feuds rarely end this publicly, this dramatically, or on such a massive stage, and that's exactly why people can't stop talking about it. What do you think? Was the truce between Kevin Hart and Katt Williams completely real, or was there more going on behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss any future updates on the biggest stories in entertainment and comedy. Thanks for watching.